Welcome back, and weather review here on Mac Talk Movies. I'm breaking down my spoiler thoughts of the fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. Welcome back to Mac Talks Movies. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I talk all things box office, movie rankings, and movies and TV shows. So please subscribe, ring the bell as we're almost there to 170 subscribers. Comment down below. What are your thoughts? Spoiler thoughts on the fall of the House of Usher. Did you like the ending? Did you not like the ending? What do you want to see as season 2? Where does this rank for you out of Mike Flanagan's Netflix shows? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, please like the video, guys. Hit that like button at the bottom of the screen, the thumbs up. Please smash that like button. So, as I talked to you guys about this past Monday, I did do my full non-spoiler review of the fall of the House of Usher. I gave you my rating. This is easily one of my favorite shows of the year. But I did want to actually wait to release this video and do this video until a week after the episodes came out, because I do feel like with shows, I want to give everyone at least, usually like these types of Netflix binge shows, at least a week so people can watch it and then get my review. So I'm not just like throwing them to the wolves. So I will be doing this review obviously coming out Thursday. So a week after the release of the show. So as I've already said, I thoroughly love this show, but this is where I want to get to some of the specifics of what I really couldn't talk about in the non-spoiler review. So we kind of get this setup that made me very nervous about the direction of the show, which is basically we know in the first episode, because we have Roderick and Augie sitting together talking about all the things that have happened already, and the fact that we're basically going to go through the show, its first 7 episodes, and kind of really starting from episode 2 to episode 7, we know that all of the kids are going to die. So they kind of got their own episode where they're kind of the main focus, and the end of the episode is the gnarly way that they die. And I was nervous about how interesting would a show be if you already knew a lot of the events that already happened before we're even 30 minutes into the first episode, but it caught my eye from the moment really Verna showed up on screen. Carla Gugino's fantastic, I think Emmy-worthy nomination for her in the show. She makes the show a lot more interesting. Now, obviously, Bruce Greenwood's fantastic. The whole cast as usual, all the Mike Flanagan usuals are here and on full display, but Gugino is so special in the show. It's a very fascinating character as well. So we kind of go through episode by episode. I don't want to go like through episode by episode, but I do say my favorite couple characters and kills. I think episodes 2 and 3 are bananas. They're just absolutely crazy. So episode 2 is basically about Prospero, who is played, or not Prospero, but Perry, played by Saroyan Subkota, who basically, all right, I don't know if I'll get copyright. I probably won't get copyright, but whatever. Basically, Perry has this whole idea that this building that Frederick has never burned down. He learns that this building that Frederick should have destroyed, but never did. He wants to have this for a sexual type party, is what I'm going to say. So I don't get like hit with anything. So this then leads to a horrifying scene. I think it's the most gnarly scene of the whole season, which is that he expects everyone to be dancing and making out whatever on the floor. And then at some point where the party really starts is when there's like this water drops down onto everyone. So the party starts at the beginning of the episode. Also, Perry basically wants Frederick's wife, Morella, to come to the party with him. And clearly, Morella's not happy with Frederick, and that obviously sets the tone for later in the season when Frederick basically like ruins her by like pliers and all this stuff. It's really gnarly stuff. So Perry goes to the party. Things are going well. He's about to, ruin Frederick's life by sleeping with Frederick's wife. And this is where we get really our first look in the present day of Verna, and the fact that we get her in this mask and the hair, and no one else sees her. And for some reason, we see all of these waiters leaving the room. And then this is where Verna says her piece. She leaves. She said, you could have made another decision. She leaves. And then once the water about to hit like this acid, and it burns everyone's skin off and mostly kills everyone except for Morella, who is saved. But, Perry isn't officially dead. Verna comes back and puts the mask over him. But First of all, the images are gross, and not just that, I think it's even more disgusting, this part, when all these bodies are moving a little bit. It's so creepy, it's so disgusting, but an awesome way to end the episode. Episode 3 is Camille's death, which is equally for me as fun, where Camille is just a hilarious, over-the-top character played by Kate Siegel, who is the one trying to frame this, whoever the person is in the family. And she was trying to frame, because she believes that the person is Victoria, played by Tania Miller. She tries to frame him at the chimpanzee place, and this is where Verna now takes over as like a security guard. There's a good joke about an F-bomb, which I thought was really funny. We get to the scene where Verna warns Camille, says, we can do this a different way. Make the right choice so you don't have to do this a certain way. And basically Verna explains that she doesn't need to kill anyone in these type of ways. She offers them the choice of dying peaceful deaths, that like the death that Lenore gets in the season finale. But Camille obviously walks in, and then the chimpanzee basically kills her, and it was a highly entertaining situation there. I just love the ending of the episode. I really enjoyed the Black Cat for all Julia. You get all these things. I just want to get to the overall finale and ending of the show. So we kind of realized that, first of all, Roderick ruins Augie's life basically as a mainly cop and detective, when Augie was going to have Roderick's signatures were framed on all of these things for the company that he was running. Was going to run in the future, but wasn't running at the time. And him and Roderick set up this whole plan where Roderick's going to go on court, on trial, and say that his boss is framing his signature. And they had this whole plan, and Roderick's wife was on board at the time. But Roderick makes the decision to basically lie and say, I did sign all these documents, and it's all of Roderick's long play to take over the company. And the whole story here is that his wife, Annabelle Lee, was in the right, who's played by Katie Parker. She was the right person in the year of young Roderick, played by Zach Gifford. And it was young Madeline, who's played by Willa Fitzgerald, Madeline was really in Roderick's ear more than his wife. And that was really the difference in Roderick's trajectory, which is he had 2 kids. He had a solid life. It wasn't the wealthiest life, of course, but it was something. And he had his kids and he had his wife, but that wasn't enough for him. And obviously Madeline was always here in the corner, pecking away. And we get to a point where in this episode, we see Roderick and Madeline basically kill the boss of the company, played by Rufus Griswold, played by Michael Trucco. And Roderick and Madeline escape. They try to go to this bar so they can be seen in the public. And this is the bar with Verna as the bartender. And as everyone's clearing out, Verna, and this is all about the final episode, Verna basically goes to them and says, I know that you guys killed your boss, and I'll tell everyone about it, and your lives will be ruined forever. Or you can make a deal with me. And the deal basically is, I can leave you alone, and you guys you and your family and your name will live forever, but won't have the wealthiest of lives. Or you take this deal with me, all of your family members, all your kids, they will grow up to have wealthy but young lives and die. And you two will be the last people to die, and you will have to die together. But there'll be no legal things against you. No matter what you do, what vile things you do, you won't be in prison, none of these things. And right away, it's Roderick who agrees, and it's Madeline, the person who's the killer, I think, of the two of them, meaning like the quickness of their decision-making. She hesitates, but says yes. And she's like, he's the one who has kids. It's up to him, really. And she says, this is both of you because you both are dying together. So they make the decision. Roderick kind of plays it off like it's a dream. And Madeline's the one who really did take that seriously from the beginning. And we learned that they make this deal that they're going to have all the kids, all of Roderick's kids. And it's sad to know that even after this, Roderick makes this deal. He has 2 kids. He has all these other kids with estranged wives and women. And, he knew all of them at some point were going to live these privileged lives for 40 or 50 years and die, instead of living these 70, 80, 90 years living and not have this wealthy life. So that's why all the kids were dying. And all sets up to the last point, which is Lenore, which I thought was the most emotional part of the show, which is that that because Lenore is the granddaughter of Roderick, obviously the daughter of Frederick, who basically exposes him by calling the cops on Frederick and saying no to Arthur Pym and telling, the lawyer played by Mark Hamill, I'm not going to succumb to what. And she makes her decision. And then we get the scene where Verna is going to kill Lenore, in this part, but it's a really peaceful, emotional death, which is that, Verna's like, it's my job and I have the pleasure of killing a lot of these people, but I have no pleasure in this conversation and this situation. And that means that she's going to kill Lenore. And the whole thing is that she told Lenore, by you calling the cops on your dad and basically saving your mom will go through years of rehab, but she'll make it out, and she's going to make all of these clinics, and it's going to save 1,000 lives and 10,000 lives and hundreds of thousands and then millions of lives. And it's all because of you under your name. And that you made a difference. While you were a kid, you were the only morally right member of this entire family. And blood-wise, meaning blood relation to the family. And it's heartbreaking. I had chills, almost kind of choking up watching it. And you obviously know she dies, and obviously Roderick does as well. We get this scene where we also get Roderick and Augie talking, and this leads to Madeline being downstairs and Roderick mummified basically her, then she comes and kills him. We get the scene earlier in the episode where Verna basically has this one last showdown with Roderick, and she basically shows him all these people falling from the sky, and this is basically all of the people that has been killed because of his addictive drug, his addictive medicine. And so basically Verna forces that. Basically, Matt, of course, wasn't dead, very similar to Roderick and Madeline's mom, kills them both. They're both dead. And we get this one of the most satisfying and I think emotional scenes I've seen in anything all year long, where we get this scene with Augie standing at the grave and says, I want it all. I have a husband, I have kids, and their kids. I am the richest man alive. And it really spoke to me. I was really emotional, not crying or anything, but it really hit me in the feels emotionally. That the fact that Roderick ruined so many people's lives, and he chose wealth and power over just being a family man, being a dad, having this great wife, Annabelle Lee, having 2 kids and living that life, no matter if they were people who don't live the most fruitful jobs or don't make tons of money, they're still together. And that was Augie's point. Augie's life was ruined and his reputation was so much on the line with this case. And Roderick chose on that day to screw over Augie back in the day, to not tell the truth about his documents being forged, his signature being forged. And Augie to keep it together for the most part out of all those conversations, and then to him to have the relief that thank God the situation is over, and that I have this whole family for me back home, and we're not the wealthiest family, but I feel like the richest person, and that really stuck with me. Now reflecting on it days from the episode, it does choke me up when we watch it. An amazing scene. Carl Lumley does a terrific job in this show. And it winds up to be a very extremely satisfying as, the crow or whatever, the raven, whatever, stands on top of the funeral. And obviously she'll go on to do as many more deals as she wants. But that's how we end the show. It's a terrific show, which was, I think, a lot more emotional than I thought, especially when you start the show. And 95% of these characters are extremely unlikable, not morally good people. But for me, it stuck with me with this show. And I really do adore this show. It's not as good for me as both Hill House or Midnight Mass. I think Haunting of Hill House is the scariest and also emotional, from a story perspective, show that Flanagan has done. I think it's a perfect show for me. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Midnight Mass has so much great twists and turns, a great note on religion, and I think this is right there with Midnight Mass for me, being 2 and 3. I would go Blind Manor, then finishing up at 4. I did not see Midnight Club, so I haven't seen that. So those are my ranking of the 4 shows. But he is my favorite person right now in the horror space. Him and Jordan Peele for me right now, my 2 favorite horror filmmakers going right now. And I thoroughly enjoyed The Fall of the House of Usher. So what are your thoughts on this show? Did it emotionally resonate with you as well? More TV show reviews are coming soon, with Goosebumps just hitting Disney Plusers. I'll talk about that when the show is over. Loki reviews every single Friday. More reviews coming to the channel. See you then.